guys, and welcome to my channels. And today we're going to recreate this beautiful geometries made entirely in Touch Designer. There's no 3D modeling software involved, and as a result you learn how to work with 3D modelings in Touch Designer as well. So let's go. Okay, so we'll start first by making the flower vase, and to be able to do that we're going to make use of the SOP, or the surface operator in Touch Designer. Now the surface operator in Touch Designer is available in the tab menu. So press tab and you press on SOP over here, you'll be able to find it, and we're going to start with an add SOP over here. Now the add SOP over here is a very interesting surface operator, because basically it lets you add points, and then from the points you'll be able to draw polygons, you'll be able to draw curve basically. All right, and it works in the very simple principle. Let me just draw it very quickly for you to see. Now you have one point over here A, and you have point B's over here, right? And if you have 2 points over here, you'll be able to make a lines. You have 3 points, okay, you'll be able to make a trace or triangle. Okay, 4 points, okay, D over here for example, you'll be able to make a quads basically. All right, so this is a very simple principle of this geometries operators over here, right? So that should be it. And if we go into the property over here, we'll be able to add points. So the first point, to be able to visualize it, you're going to click on view tips over here, and if you press P and you click on XYZ to display point positions and points over here, you'll be able to see it, okay, in the 3D view. So this is the first point, and basically we're going to add in a point for the base of the flower vase over here. All right, so we're going to move this one on the right, going to move it on the x-axis, okay, 0.5, and then I'm going to add in another point over here. This point I'm going to move it on the y-axis, okay, and this one, move this one out. Okay, so you see I'm making the points so that we can make a curve for the flower vase. All right, and then I'm going to add in another point, move this one upwards, move this one on the sides over here. So you see I'm making a curve over here. Point 4, so I'm going to move this one up as well. Okay, so now we have basically the structure of the flowers vase, because basically later on we can use a sweep operations in others 3D software called sweep operation, but basically is using a curve to make the surface. Okay, so we can click on polygons over here and start making a polygons, and the patterns over here we just type in the numbers of the points. So if we take a look at this, is number 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we type in here 0 space 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it's going to make a line basically. Okay, very simple as that. And over here, because we have a line already, we can make use of a convert sop. Now the convert sop over here, what does it do is basically convert a line into a Bezier or into a surface, to a polygon basically. So over here you see from type, all type, basically all type can be inputted, okay? Geometry can be inputted, and then convert to over here, you can put it to Bezier curve, all right? And you're gonna see that it's making this kind of curve, okay? We want to make this point a little bit outside, so the curve looks a little bit more curvy, all right? So go back to the points over here, and we're going to move this one, the second point actually, on the sides, not on the y-axis, but it's going to be on the x-axis, okay, something like this, all right? And then afterwards we can use a revolve. So the revolve soft over here, what does it do? It basically do the sweep operation, use that very curve over there, and then rotate it or revolve it 360 degrees to create a surface out of it, basically. All right, so revolve, and then we plug this one in. Okay, and here we go. We have the base of the flower vase over here. If we go into the wireframe by pressing W, okay, you're gonna see this is the flower vase, but the number of polygon is very low poly, and as a result, you're gonna see that it's look very low poly. Okay, not a lot of details. Okay, we can try increasing the values over here on the flowers vase geometries. Okay, and if we rotate around it, we'll be able to see it over here. Okay, and I want to bring to your attention this options over here. Convert mesh to polygon, turn this on, and voila, it's going to create a more details flower vase for you. Okay, and you can reduce the division over here a little bit just to make the flower vase less polygon intensive, because remember that the SOP is running on the CPU and not on the GPU. Okay, so this is the result of the revolve operations, and we got this flower vase over here. I can increase the divisions a little bit. Okay, 26. All right, and on the details over here, if I click on end caps, I'll be able to close the geometries with the bottoms and the top caps over here being closed. But you're gonna see that on top of this geometries over here, the shading is a little bit weird. You're gonna see this, the shading is darker. It means that we have an inverse normal, all right? And in 3D modelings, this is to be avoided, because basically if you have an inverse normal, the 3D renders doesn't know where to apply texture. What is the front face of the geometries to apply texture and lighting on top of it. So, and as a result, we have to add in an attribute. Okay, now the attribute create over here is the function that let you recalculate the normals. So if I plug this one into the attribute creates, okay, and click on compute normal, you're gonna see the normal being fixed. Okay, so basically it's trying to recalculate the normal. And if I turn on the normals over here, just to visualize the problems, point normals, Okay, so this is the normal of the geometries, and you're gonna see over here the normal here is all over the place. But over here, if I turn this one on, normal, you're gonna see the normals facing the correct directions, basically outwards. All right, so this is basically the purpose of the attribute create over here. Turn this one off just to make everything easier to see. Okay, now next thing we want to do is we want to be able to remove the top cap of this. I know this is not very intuitive, but just an excuse for me to show you the function of group SOP. Okay, in Touch Designer. Now, if you plug the attribute create over here, and basically the group SOP over here is going to create a group or a selections. Okay, this is the selection function in Touch Designer, and you'll be able to select points, you'll be able to select polygons, the one that you are going to delete later, right? So we can go into the group over here, and on the group name over here, we're going to keep this one as group. Okay, group one, no problems. Entity, you have two options, points and primitives. Okay, and I'm going to choose primitives. So what is primitive over here? Now, in the group over here, you'll be able to create a selection using numbers of points, or you can use a bounding box, and you can use also normal and edges. And basically, if you put it on primitives over here, okay, we can try it with point first, okay, and we go into the group over here and press P, and if I click on the point numbers over here, you're gonna see all this point, this appearance, and it's very overwhelming because basically, if I press W as well, it's overlapping on top of each other, and this I go into the property over here, you're gonna see we have 1,872 points, and it's very difficult to select points. Okay, in Touch Designer, it's not that straightforward, basically. Okay, so to be able to deal with this, we can use the primitive instead. And what is primitive over here? Primitive is basically the polygons over here, quads over here that is appearing on the screen. Okay, and to be able to display it, we can go back to P and then turn on, instead of the points number, we're going to turn on primitive numbers. Okay, so many points as well. Okay, but what we care about here, if we go back to the shade mode, okay, we're gonna have the top over here is number 1,522, and the bottom is 1,521. Okay, so we can use the group over here and go into the create, and by default the operation is going to be set to group by patterns, and basically here you can type in numbers. The asterisk over here is mean that selecting everything available inside of the sub over here, and we want to select only the primitive numbers 1,522. Type in, and now you're gonna see nothing happens. Okay, but if you go back into the P, and instead of primitive numbers over here on the own, you turn on these buttons, you're gonna see only this one being displayed. Okay, so only the selected one being displayed. Okay, and now we can use this things to put it to a delete sub. And the delete sub over here, if we choose the group one over here, okay, you'll be able to delete exactly the face on top of the geometries. Okay, so this is the way that it works. Okay, it works with points, it works with primitive as well, but primitive is easier to work with. Now, another alternative that you can use to delete the geometries is to use the group, but instead of using this points over here, which some people find not very intuitive, you can use a bounding box. So let me just demo this. You go back to the group over here, and instead of number, I'm going to turn this one off now. Okay, and we're going to turn on the bounds over here. And the bounds over here, basically, if you go into the operator, you're going to see I'm going to turn off the number of selected. Okay, so over here just to show you. Okay, now the bounds box is basically a cube over here. You can choose a sphere as well. Okay, but in this case, I'm going to choose a bounding box. Okay, and basically this is the selections that you have. And it's more visual, it's easier for you to select. You can scroll down the size over here. All right, and we can move this one up. Okay, until you're gonna see that it's making the delete over here. Okay, until it deletes only the top parts of the geometries over here. So I'm going to move this one up a little bit. Okay, so by 0.22, what if I put this one to 25? Okay, 25 still not deleting it. Okay, so I'm going to put it at 23, and you have still the same kind of delete operations over here. Now, just a quick tips over here. In the delete operations, you have a built-in operation of using the bounding volumes as well as number as well. Same thing as the using the group operators over here, but built-in into the delete. All right. But it's just easier for me to explain the group for you and the delete over here, because in the future you might want to do the selection and do something else with this instead of just doing the delete. All right, so that's about the base of the geometries over here. Okay, and we can stop here a little bit to set up the preview of the 3D geometries, because going in and out inside the 3D soap over here just a little bit inconvenient. So we can divide this screen over here, and we can go into geometry viewer. Okay, and if you click on the display buttons over here, you're going to see this is the 3D views. Okay, the work area or the work 3D work view in Tab Designer, and you can rotate it by using the right mouse button, left mouse button to pan, zoom in and zoom out by the middle mouse buttons. All right, so this is the 3D view. Okay, just leave it there just to make everything easier to visualize. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to create the flowers. Okay, and we start by creating first the one petals of the flowers. Okay, so we can do that by going into a circle, and in the circle over here I'm going to reduce the division to 4. Okay, and I'm going to increase the radius over here as 4. Okay, to make the shape over here, and we start with a rectangle, more or less like a rectangle over here, because later on we can always subdivide geometries. Okay, and we start with the circle. And then we can start by copying this circle over here. So we can start by adding a sweep swap into the scenes. And basically what it does over here is, if we add in another circle, all right, the sweep over here is basically the array operations, similar to the array functions in Blender. Basically, it's going to arrange a geometries on a path. And to be able to create a path, we go into the circle. And instead of add type close over here, we're going to set it to open type. So we have only a path. And the divisions, I'm going to keep it very low, 60. Okay. And then I'm going to plug this one in on the first geometries over here. All right. And then we're going to put this one in the second input of the sweep. And you're going to see that it's trying to do this kind of operation over here, where it's create, okay, one of the it's going to place or array one of the circle over here on a circular shapes. Okay, and next thing we want to do is we want to reduce the radius here a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to reduce it by a little bit. Okay, just to make everything a little bit easier to visualize. Okay, so we have all of this petals over here, but it's pointing in the wrong directions, and as a result, okay, we need to put this one to a transform. All right, transform top. And over here, I'm going to basically, we want to rotate this geometries. If we rotate this by, for example, 30 degrees, you're going to see that it's actually making this kind of flowers over here, and the shape of the transform over here a little bit too thin on the x-axis. So I'm going to restore the values, just increase the radius a little bit. Okay, and basically over here we have create this kind of flowers patterns, but you're going to see that because of the rotations, I'm going to rotate this one on the y-axis 90 degrees. Okay, just to make that the geometries over here become this kind of patterns. Okay, and it looks nice. Okay, I can display this one just to make it easier to see. We're going to stop displaying this vase, and instead we're going to turn this one on. But here you're going to see that there's overlapping geometries, because basically in Touch Designer, when you want to create 16 divisions, okay, on a circle, is actually creating 17 points. So we need to delete. If we go into the view active over here, you're going to see there's two geometries being double. Okay, and to be able to resolve this, again, we're going to make use of a delete. And we plug this one in, and then we're going to delete primitives, and I'm going to turn on the primitives numbers over here. Okay, and basically we need to be able to delete this overlapping geometries, which is primitive number 0 and 16 all together. Okay, so we can go in back into the property of the deletes over here, and we can turn on numbers. Delete by pattern is all right, and this one we're going to put in 0. Okay, so now you're going to see that we delete one of them, and you're going to see now that and we can also delete 16, for example. Okay, and over here still displaying the old geometry, so I'm going to turn on this one. Okay, and if we delete one of them, okay, it's going to give us the perfect circular array of the flower petals. All right, so this is the tricks over here. Okay, and now we have basically a flower over here. Okay, and next thing we want to do is I'm going to basically turn on the divisions over here just to make the flowers look a little bit more rounded. Okay, I can turn this one to 20s. Okay, 24, something like that. Okay, and on the sweep, so on the transform over here, I can start working on the z-axis just to make this the flowers over here has an opening at the end. All right, so more or less something like this. Okay, and just to complicate the problems or to show you another SOP, I'm going to make use, I'm going to make this, I'm going to bend this geometry a little bit just to make the flowers over here bend. Okay, make it a little bit bended to make everything looks a little bit more natural, because here it looks nice, but at the same time it looks very rigid. Okay, so to be able to bend an object, okay, we're going to use the lattice sort in Tab Designer. Okay, and I'm going to add in a lattice sort. Now the lattice over here is basically is going to make use of a bounding box, okay, to be able to deform an object or bend an object. All right, so let me demo this. If I plug this circle into the top over here, nothing happened because it said not source specified, because basically we need a box. All right, and on the box over here we need to turn on use divisions. All right, and over here I'm going to extrude it on the y-axis 4 times. Okay, so we have this division over here, and basically the way that Tab Designer works is going to use this object to deform another object. Okay, and we need to plug this object both to the bottoms rest the second input of here rest geometries and the deform geometries, and basically it's going to create a bounding box for the objects over here, and we can modify the shapes of the bounding box over here to make it fit with the geometries that we have. So I'm going to increase this one and make sure that this one cover the whole dimensions of the circle sort, basically. Okay, so to be able to deform these objects, we're going to make use of right click over here, insert operators, and we're going to make use of the twist. All right, and you're gonna see that if I move this one over here, move this one around, if I now modify the twist over here, you're gonna see that this object deforms, and the yellow parts of the geometries over here is actually the bending operations, okay, the twisting operations happening, okay, and it's twisting it on the x-axis. This is just to show you, okay, visualize the lattice operations, but we need to switch to the bend, okay, and you're going to see here, if we bend the primary axis is the axis that the object is going to bend towards, okay. So it's going to bend toward the x-axis, and the secondary axis is the axis that is going to stay permanent, or where the object is going to stay pivoted to, basically. And on the secondary axis over here, when I bend it, you're going to see that it's actually causing this geometry to be deformed, but on the top over here is deforming very weirdly because this two bounding box doesn't cover the whole geometries. So I'm going to increase the size over here a little bit to fix that. Okay, so now everything should be deforming as I like. Okay, so over here, if I increase the strength over here, you're going to see that it's actually deforming this polygons. Okay, and you're going to see this is the result of the lattice operations. Okay, and basically it's deforming. If I change this one to y-axis and this one to x-axis, okay, z-axis and x-axis, for example, okay, and basically this is the operations, and we want to bend this object something like this, okay, and just something like this, but basically you're gonna see that this is not what we want, because yes, bending over here, but actually we want to bend the surface of the, or the curve of the petals over here toward the camera. Okay, so we be able to do this by seeing the axis over here. We want to bend it on the z-axis, so this one has to be the z on the z-axis, and you're gonna see it's causing this deformations over here. This is not what we want. We want the curve of the flower petal to be following the bounding box. So this is because we have so little division on the bounding box over here, and I'm going to increase the level of subdivision over here on the bounding box over here to 5, 5, 5, and over here it's gonna say that the rest geometry bounding box, even we will match the lattice division. We go back to the lattice divisions, increase all this value to 5. Okay, and again you're gonna see that this thing is not what we want. Is it because if you go into the circle, we turn it on over here, basically it doesn't have enough geometries to bend. Okay, so we need to actually subdivide this geometries before we bend it, okay, to give it more subdivisions. Okay, and we be able to do that by either adding a subdivision, or we can turn this one to primitive. We can add in a insert operations, and we can add in subdivide into this operations. Okay, and now you're going to see that if we open up the wireframe now, there's more geometries to work with, and we can subdivide this one by 2. Okay, so the object effectively become bended as we like. And afterwards, we can just plug this one into the transform. And now we're going to have this sweep operations going on. Okay, and you're going to see that it's basically deform our objects a little bit, because for the very simple reason that after that we do the lattice, the transformation of this object changes. Okay, and basically it's facing the z-axis over here, and we need to rotate this one back. Okay, just to make everything a little bit easier to visualize. Okay, so basically over here I'm going to modify this one as 30. Okay, and I'm going to rotate this objects a little bit, okay, just to make it go back to the shape of the flowers. All right, so minus 90 degrees basically. And on the z-axis over here, if I rotate it, I want it to be a little bit less, so something like this, minus 20, and we have this geometries going on. And if we zoom in into the wireframe, okay, you're gonna see that it's creating this kind of inverse faces, okay, which I'm going to get rid of now by basically reducing the size, the scale of this petal over here. Okay, so I'm going to reduce it, and then I'm going to, because basically when this object is too big, okay, they are going to overlap with each other. And I'm going to move this one a little bit like this. Okay, so we have this geometries over here going on. Okay, and we have basically the flower petals, the flowers with the petals over here. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to add in a tube to create this kind of connection between the flowers and the vase, basically, right? Or the body of the flowers, basically. Okay, and how can we do it? We can do this by adding a circle. Okay, and this time I'm going to start with division of 6 as well, and open arch. Okay, and I'm going to copy the add points over here and the convert over here, because basically I want to create a curve shapes, but I don't want to add each point and then modify them. Okay, so I'm going to copy this one over here and paste it down, and then I'm going to plug this one. Basically I'm going to use a sweep operations to be able to place the circle along the points over here. All right, I'm going to add in a sweep. Okay, and plug this one in, and I put this one in the second input. All right, and nothing happened because I'm actually I need to plug this one at the bottoms, and I need to plug this one on top. Okay, so basically it's going to create this geometries which is distorted at the moment because the size of the circle is too big. So I'm going to reduce the size to 0.1, for example. Okay, you see that for each of the points over here is trying to put the objects, put one objects that we put one circle, okay, basically on the geometries, on the points, okay, and I can visualize it by going into the points over here. You see corresponding to the points, okay, it's basically trying to put it over here, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have 4 geometries. This is the basic of the sweep operator. All right, and if I turn this one off and I reduce the size of the sweep operators over here, okay, make this one very small. Okay, you have this thing going on. Okay, and basically here we have placed the geometries to be able to make a tube following this curve over here. All right, so I'm going to add it in a skin operator. Now the skin operators over here is going to basically create a connection between this circle. Okay, it's going to do some kind of bridging between this geometries. If I plug this one in, this is what we got. Okay, again, the normal is distorted. Okay, and you're gonna see its output a low poly. So on the output polygons over here, if you click on output polygons, it's gonna make it into polygons, and then we can add in a subdivide, okay, to smooth out the surface of this operations. Okay, so there 2, and now if you go into the wireframe, you're going to see more geometry being created. Okay, and then we need to basically inverse the normal because the normal here is incorrect. Okay, so we're going to add in an attribute, create, and then put this one in, compute normal. So we fix that. Okay, and now with these 2 objects, we want to make a flowers. Okay, and we can use a merge, and we plug this one in, not object merge. We go into add in a merge sort. All right, and we can plug this one into the merge sort. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, I'm going to turn off this operations of the delete over here to visualize this is easier to see. Okay, and you're going to see that over here, this is the size of the curve. Okay, and this is the size of the flower. The flower obviously is too big. Okay, so we're going to add in a transform before the flowers, before the merging of the flowers. Okay, and we're going to reduce the size. Okay, and press H to see it better. Okay, and now I need a transform so that I can move this one to match it with the to basically make the bodies going out of this flowers. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this one by 90 degrees just to make this one facing the y-axis, and then I'm going to rotate this one on the z-axis, basically 90 degrees. Not 90 degrees, but I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis again, rotate it on the x-axis actually. So I'm going to translate this one first. Okay, and move this one on the sides. In the back actually, on the z-axis. Okay, so afterward it's just using the x and y, z, and transform over here just to make the body of the flower over here connect to the petals. All right, and of course this is coming from the shape of the flower vase, so we want to modify this shape a little bit on the poise level, poise over here, but we can merge this one already to the flower vase, just this preview. Where is it now? Okay, so put this one over here, put this one on top, and the flower vase basically too big. Okay, so too small basically, and we can move the whole things, the whole flowers with another transform back to the original positions, and we can scale this one down even. Turn this one on, turn the flower vase, the flowers off, and then we can transform this one. Somewhere like this, and I can reduce the size a little bit. Okay, and I can move this one up even, something like this. And if I want, I can even make the poise over here go down a little bit more, just to make the, if I visualize now, I want this body to go down, so I'm going to make sure that this last point over here, okay, the first point over here is actually on the y-axis is actually lower. Okay, so I'm extending the geometries over here, and it's go outside. Okay, so I'm going back to the x-axis of this and move this one inside, something like this. It's not very intuitive, but you get the points. Okay, something like this on the x-axis. Okay, and we can move this flowers a little bit back on the transform over here. The final transformations, just a little bit. All right, so this is basically it, the flower base and the flowers. Okay, now last thing I want to do is just want to demo to you the I'm going to make a table, demo to you the extrude functions, and in the rectangle over here you'll be able to turn on the rounded corners in the extrude. Okay, and put this one in, and in the extrude over here you're going to see it making this very thick extrusions. So we're going to reduce the depth scale over here, something like this. Okay. And then we can plug this one into the merge, and we can rotate this one either by adding rotations in the transform, or we can rotate it directly here. I'm going to add in a transform into the plane, all right? And then I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees, on the x-axis by 90 degrees, okay? And move this one down until it fits with our friends over here. Translate. On the z-axis. Okay, so basically this is the exercise just to show you the powers of 3D modelings in Tab Designers and different tools over here. Last thing I want to do is I want to add in a, just before the after the transform over here, I want to add in a noise sort over here just to make the flowers look a little bit animated. Okay, so if you add in a noise sort over here, it's going to distort the geometries using a noise, and I want to reduce it on the period. So over here I'm going to reduce it. Actually, I'm going to increase this one by 3 on the period so that the deformation looks less. And then on the amplitudes, if I reduce these values, it's going to make the deformation less dramatic. Okay, something like this, just to show you the powers of the deformations over here. Okay, and on the bodies of the flowers over here, we can also add in a fractal, which is this little sort over here that will make the surface of this tube looks a little bit more interesting. Fractal. Put this one over here, and I'm going to basically it's going to distort this geometries, but we can scale this one down, just something like this. Okay, and you're gonna see that it's creating this kind of fractal displacement. And I'm going to click on fixed boundary as well, and divisions. I'm going to smoothness, I'm going to increase it so that it's going back, and I can increase this one to 3 as well, okay, just to make this kind of displacement on the geometries to make the surface look a little bit more particular, look more like natural. Okay, scale. Okay, so this is it. Okay, the flowers and the flower base. And just to show you another SOP, we can also add in a wireframe into this objects over here. All right, and the Y radius, we can decrease it to something like this. And it's causing the other geometries to lose the normals. All right, so for some reason, okay, when you merge everything together, the normal was flipped. Okay, and the way that you fix it is just basically moving up this delete over here. So basically it messed up with the order of the geometries, and as a result is creating all of this mess up of normals. Okay, so we can turn this one off. Okay, so afterwards we have this visual going on here, and basically we can just use we can add some text to this to make this look a little bit more interesting. Now I can go into the tops and I'm going to add in a text. All right, and on the file, and text over here in VM. Put this one over here, and then I can add a displays top, and I can add a noise in. Reduce this one to 0.1 and 0.1 as well. 0.1. All right. Okay, something like this. And in the noise, I can add in a ABS time. Let's take a. All right. Now, this is just to show you the powers of the trace SOP. If you go into the trace and drag and drop any kind of bitmap images into the top over here, it will try to convert the bitmap into geometries, 3D geometries, and this is what you have, right? You can modify the threshold to make it look more sharp. You can add in, you can reduce the step size over here to make it more low poly. Okay, but I'm going to keep this one like this, all right? And then there's a trick over here that a lot of people use to make the text look a little bit more cyberpunk or sci-fi, which is using the joins after the trace. Okay, and basically it's going to create all of this geometry over here, and it's trying to connect all the points because the joins over here is basically a SOP that basically trying to connect the points together. And it's a little bit boring. We can add a subdivisions int. Okay, and now it starts to look interesting. Okay, you see all these little details over here on the text. Okay, we can reduce the depth a little bit. Okay, and on the joins over here, I can in the step over here, if I increase it, I can make this a little bit low poly, and as a result this point looks a little bit more interesting. Okay, so this connections over here, and afterwards we can just merge this one to the geometries by drag and drop this into the geometries, and you see this showing over here, but basically the normals over here is inverse. All right, so we need to click on the insert operators over here and add in a attribute, create, and click on compute normal. Okay, so that we have the normal here is going on, but it's still And this is happening because basically we need to move the joy on top, because otherwise the wireframe over here from the delete is going to cause the same problem with the previous geometries. Yeah. So now we can just add in over here a transform. And we can just rotate this one on the y-axis 90 degrees, scale this one down, and then move this up on the translations, something like this. Scale this one down more. Okay, and this one a little bit down. So and then we move this back on the x-axis. Okay, something like this. All right, so we have the geometries over here going on. We can move this one down a little bit. Yeah. So this is the experiment and the demo that we have created. So that should be it. Thank you for your attentions, and don't forget to subscribe to my channels to have the project files and happy touch designer. Okay.